Hello everyone, it's Tana. Welcome back to the channel and another video for the Rabbit Hole Designs. Today we're featuring the Caffeinated Parrot and the Clouds in My Coffee stencil from the latest release. And I love this stencil. You get all the pieces, the negative pieces, and even the frame. And I used that in today's video. So, you know me, as usual, 3 cards but no coloring in this video. I did it all ahead of time. So I stamped the parrot and masked them off because we're going to use the clouds and ink blend a peacock feathers Distress Oxide background on a slimline card. And I believe this card is 3.5 by 8.5. So actually this one might be 4 by 8.5. I did 2 slim lines. This one's 4 by 8.5. Now I think I shouldn't have done it this way, but seeing as how there was only 3 negative pieces for the clouds, I had to do it in sections because I wanted more than just 3 clouds. But I ended up with lines blended into my background. So I did try to fix it with a smaller brush and then discovered that it was easier to just, first I tried spraying it, doing it the same way, but it left lines again. So I took all of the stencil covers off and I sprayed the entire background, and it made the lines kind of blend into each other once I sprayed them with the glitter spray. And I used Frost and Sparkle by Imagine Crafts. Those are the sprays I used. So while we're waiting for that to dry, we're moving on to our second card panel, and I'm using regular Distress ink tumbled glass to ink blend the background. And then we're going to use the Simon Says Stamp set of 4 mini stencils, leaves. And I start off with Mowed Lawn, and I do 1 on each side of the panel. And then I move along to Lucky Clover, all in regular Distress ink. And I go with a different stencil, and I go around the entire panel again. This one was also 1 on each side, but the 2 side ones I did shorter than the top 2, or the top and bottom. And then I went in with pine needles and did all around the panel again. I'm really loving the way this turned out. And then I went in with Twisted Citron and did 2 on each side of the panel. And I was wrong. I only did 2 of the pine needles. And now we're going to tape our first card panel onto the slimline card base with double-sided adhesive. And we're going to glue the second panel onto its card. Ignore that frame there. I did make a frame to go over this card with the cloud, the border part of the cloud stencil. But it was too flimsy, even with the foam tape, to mess around with, so I left it off. But I am going to use the frame again because I want to create treetops for the bottom of my card because it just looked too bare for my liking, too empty. And I just did them with Mowed Lawn and then did this little like C or U shaped swirl with the little narrow brush, and then blended those all in so that it looked like maybe a shadow of leaves on the treetops. Sorry guys, I'm short of breath tonight. And I just glued those to the bottom of the card, overlapping each other. And our little guy here, he was colored with Derwent watercolor pencils. And he's going to be glued off to the side here because there was one leaf that the Distress ink leaked underneath the stencil, so we're just going to cover that up. And the first one on the slimline card, he was colored with Copics. And now we're working on our sentiment strips for these. And the sentiments that came in the little stamp set are Polly Wants a Cappuccino, #Coffee Talk, and No Talkie Before Coffee, which I thought was funny. So I ink blended the first one with tumbled glass to go over that panel with the leaves. And the second one's just on white cardstock. And I heat embossed both of them with clear embossing powder after I stamped them out. The one for the leaves panel, I cut the end at an angle so that it wouldn't interfere with the bird's feathers. And the second one I just left in a rectangle shape. And we're going to add sequins to both of these. So we're going to use the iridescent purple for this guy here. And I believe I put 9 on, 3 at the bottom, 3 on the sentiment strip, and 3 up near his head. And on the slimline card, we just start like near where the tree branch is and go all the way up to the top right corner. And then I decided I wanted to do a third card with just the stencil. So I decided to show you that you can make a simple sympathy card in under, I think this took me about 20 minutes with the ink blending. So I used It's a Boy, Sweet 16, Pink Champagne, and Fiesta Blue for this. There's more colors out there, but I didn't use them. And I alternated between the blues and purple, or pinks. And I also have on there, if you can see, the 3 negative pieces of the clouds, because after we ink blend the stencil with the long side of the Clouds in My Coffee stencil, or ink blend the background, we're going to use the insides of that stencil, which I guess would be the positive piece, and lift up the negative pieces, and we're going to ink blend those clouds with Twilight. 2 of them ended up a little bit darker than I would have liked. The first one turned out perfect. The last 2, maybe I had too much ink on my brush, turned out a little bit darker in spots than I would have liked. And to top this card off, we're going to use the With Sympathy die and shadow from Simon Says Stamp. I cut the shadow out of vellum, and I cut With Sympathy out of frosted silver satin mirrored cardstock from Tonic. And I'm just going to glue those onto my vellum with Nouveau Deluxe adhesive, and then I'll glue that whole thing onto my card panel with the same glue, but only where my letters are, so you can't see the glue through the vellum. And to top that off, we're going to use some Studio Katya iridescent bubbles, or no, clear bubbles, with, they have various sizes, so there's 6 on there. 3 after the word with, and 3 before the word sympathy. And that's it for this video, guys. If you like what you saw here today, don't forget to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. Aside from around Christmas time, there's usually one giveaway, one giveaway a month. Don't forget to sign up for the Rabbit Hole Designs email so you can get tons of inspiration. You can know when sales are, and you know what's going on in the Rabbit Hole Design world. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye for now.